Hey guys, the section of violence here. We have a pretty alright UFC card. I'm gonna get through one FC or sorry, PFL real quick. Quick picks. So I have Ali Umar beating Sandon Sadek. Sandon Sadek is about as ape as it gets. He is very tough, but he isn't good at all. He is no grappling, and his grappling is not very good. Ali Amar has a good wrestling background, a good striking fundamentals. I think he'll be able to beat Santos Sadek very easily. But Santos Sadek also could break Ali Amar, depending with how tough Ali Amar's mental is. I think Ali Amar is going to win this though quite convincingly. Yeah, I'm going to take the dog money here. Yeah. Moving on though, we have Denzel Freeman taking on Raiden Kovacs. Raiden Kovacs came in incredibly overweight. Denzel Freeman came in good shape. I'm going to take Denzel Freeman here. He looks like a more well put together heavyweight, and I think he's going to be able to expose Raiden Kovacs, get him to the ground, and dominate. But yeah, this should be a fun one. Raiden Kovacs is definitely a big boy. I won't put too much into it, but I definitely think I'll use him as a parlay piece, maybe. Um, I don't know. We'll see. I like Evelyn Martins here as well. I think Jackie Catlin has power, but so does Evelyn Martins. Plus, she has better technique. This is gonna be a fun one, though. I do like Jackie's clinch game. I'm gonna take Evelyn Martins, but I'm not very confident, so I'm gonna probably parlay her with Denzel Freeman. It's gonna be an interesting bout for sure. Um, yeah, moving on. We have Kenley St. Louis versus Paul Henrique. Paul Henrique is pretty bad. He fights. I'll give it. He fights. He tries. I'll give him that. But he's just not good. His wrestling is not non-existent, and he just isn't good at all. I'm gonna take Kenley St. Louis just because he has a good wrestling base, or not a good wrestling base, but a decent wrestling base. A lot smarter fight IQ than Paulo's last opponent, and I just believe Paulo is going to, go for his submissions, and he's going to play bomb bottom. I just think he's not going to be able to win that game against Kenley. I think Kenley's going to be able to get the submission or a TKO finish, if not even get a nice decision. I know I said all the possible outcomes, but Kenley really can win however he wants. I'm going to go with Kenley as my lock of the card, though. Um, yeah, so if I give you my most confident, Kenley is number one, um, Freeman is number two, Martin's number three, and Omar number four. We love it, guys. And we'll see you in the next PFL one. Pretty sure I have them all. Let's make it done quick. Decision. On first. Jackie Martin's decision. I think Kenley's on by decision because he's tough. And now we're going to the UFC. All right, this should be fun. So we'll start at the very bottom. Oh, sorry, I thought it was another fight. Veronica Hardy versus Juliana Miller. Veronica Macedo, formerly known, she is extremely gorgeous, but unfortunately for her, she also has a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. She has a taekwondo background. Trains out of the MMA factory. Yeah, that's the thing over there is they don't have the greatest of grappling. Um, her striking's pretty good, but she lost to Bay Malecki, which isn't a great look. I mean, Bay's a striking girl, but she's not very good, very chinny. So she couldn't put Bay away, or even I can't remember her even hurting Bay. I see her losing to Juliana Miller. Not only that, but she got submitted by Julian Robertson and beat by Andrea Lee. She also got beat by Ashley Evans Smith, which isn't a great loss. All of her wins are against girls who are not the greatest. The only win she has that I rate is Poliana Viana. That was a really cool win, but I don't think that fight. I don't think she would get that submission again if they fought. I think Juliana Miller is going to win this fight. I think she's a more complete fighter. She is very, very. I don't know about the better striker, but she is extremely, extremely aggressive. She has quirky, unorthodox striking, and I think she's going to be able to win this very dominantly. She's beat girls like Fatima Klein in grappling competitions. I'll give her that. Um, and I also think she has lost to Claire Guthrie, but she came back to win that fight, showing off her cardio. And Claire trains at elevation, so that shows that. Brogan Walker, she dominated her, and she's a black belt. Brogan Walker, she beat her very convincingly. I think Brano Macedo is very slow when she goes for her submissions, and Julia Miller is very quick with her transitions. I think Miller is going to win this quite convincingly. I think she's going to get a finish in the second or third round. I think Miller is just a completely better fighter. I have a huge play on her, so if she loses, that'll be it with me with women's MMA, making big plays with them. But yeah, I think Miller's going to win this quite convincingly. Um, yeah, I love Miller, and I think she's going to win. Moving on, we have Ludovic Klein versus Herbert. Ludovic Klein is, in my opinion, the better striker, but he lacks some fluidity with his striking, but I would say he is the more technically sound striker, very more powerful as well. I think Ludovic Klein's going to cause Jai Herbert a lot of problems. I think he's going to be able to piece him up, but it is also a very close fight. I'm going to go with Ludovic Klein here, edging out a decision, even potentially getting a KO. But yeah, Jai Herbert, his chin's not looking too terrible as of late, so I'm going to go with Ludovic Klein by decision. But it's definitely going to be a fun fight. Moving on, we have Joanne Wood versus Luana Carolina. Joanne Wood, I am very confident in her in this spot. I don't see her getting taken down in this spot, and I don't see her getting outstruck by Luana. Luana is very sloppy with her striking. It does work for her somewhat, but she just isn't good. I think neither is Joanne, but I think she'll be able to win this fight. It's definitely going to be a fun one. I'm going to go with Joanne here, though. I think she'll be able to win this by decision. Employing that, Muay Thai background, be able to dominate the clinch. I think it should be a fun one. Moving on, we have Jake Hadley versus Malcolm Gordon. Malcolm Gordon has shown a lot of improvements in his recent fights, but I just think he's facing a guy who's, in my opinion, a really good fighter. Jake Hadley is very, very good. Um, I don't believe Malcolm Gordon is going to be able to submit him if guys like Nascimento couldn't. I think Malcolm Gordon's going to get dominated here, either that or TKO'd, one of the two. I really like Jake Hadley in this spot. I think he is the much better fighter, but it'll be an interesting one for sure. Malcolm Gordon's very experienced. Moving on, we have Dusko Todorovic versus Christian Leroy Duncan. Huge prospect out of the UK, Christian Leroy Duncan. One of my favorite fighters in the UK. I think he's going to win this in the first round in explosive fashion. Dusko's incredibly chinny, and I can see Christian getting him out of there early. He is very, very dangerous and unorthodox and really devastating striking, and I think he's going to get him out of there early. But yeah, Dusko is definitely a problem if you can keep Christian's back against the cage. But I don't think that will happen. I think Dusko will have too much trouble. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Christian Leroy Duncan here. Moving on, we have Gabriel Santos versus Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy, in my opinion, is the better fighter, but he is in for a fight. I do think Gabriel Santos can make it ugly. He can even possibly show to have the better striking. I don't know. But what I've seen is a more crisp striker in Lerone Murphy versus a more caution to the wind, but very, very dangerous fighter in Gabriel Santos. I think Gabriel Santos is a live dog, but I do think Ron Murphy is going to win this fight. It's going to be a fun fight. Really, really excited for this one. And yeah, can't say too much else. Moving on, we have Muhammad Mokaev versus Jafal Fihalo. Muhammad Mokaev, I think he's too, I think his wrestling's too good. If he didn't have the wrestling, then I would be more into the Fihalo pet. But you saw Echeverria control Fialo and calf kick him a lot. I think Mokaev could take something from that. I think he could out wrestle him for 3 rounds if needed, kind of like a Charles Johnson match. But I do hear he is injured, so it is kind of waning me off of making him a big max play. But I do think Mokaev wins this and dominantly. Moving on, we have Sam Patterson versus Yanal Ashmoz. Ashmoz is very reckless. He's a grappler. Um, Trains out of a decent gym. He's beat a lot of guys who aren't the greatest. I do think he's gonna win this fight. Um, I don't think he'll be able to out grapple Sam Peter Patterson. I do think he'll be at a striking disadvantage. But I do think he has the power, which could cause us some problems. But I do think Sam Patterson's a good enough fighter to be able to deal with Yanal Shmooth, especially fighting guys from Brave. I think it should be a good matchup for him. I think he'll be able to win this fight. I got Sam Patterson by submission in the second round, but this is going to be a fun fight. Moving on, we have Chris Duncan versus Amar Morales. Amar Morales, he's a great guy, follows the page. I do think he is very, very dangerous, and he could win this fight. But I really like the danger factor from Chris Duncan. I think Amar is a little more crisp, but Chris is a lot more dangerous, and I do think that's going to play in a factor here. I think he's going to find the chin of Amar, and I think he's going to hurt Amar. But I could be wrong. I'm going to go with Chris Duncan here by second round knockout, but again, I'm not confident. This is a fun fight for me to watch, kick back and watch with some popcorn. But yeah, Chris Duncan, let's go with him, second round knockout. Go for Scotland. Moving on, we have Jack Shore versus Amirkhani. Jack Shore, I believe after he survives round one, he's going to dominate. And yeah, Makwan has one round in him. After that, Jack Shore's it's his fight. And I do think Jack Shore is going to win this fight quite dominantly. But yeah, I'm going to go with Jack Shore here. By second round or third round, TKO. Moving on, we have Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. Everyone's on Roman Dolidze. I get it. He has looked good in his past few fights, but he was losing that fight to Jack Hermanson on the feet. He is not as good as everyone thinks he is. He's a good jiu-jitsu player for sure, but his wrestling isn't great and his striking isn't great. I think Marvin Vettori has good wrestling, good striking, and I do believe he'll be able to keep it on the feet and outstrike Roman Dolidze. I do think though he'll have issues with the jiu-jitsu if he takes him down due to Marvin not being the smartest. But I think Marvin should be able to win this fight. He beat Jack. He's beat a lot of the guys that beat Dolidze. I think he should be able to win this fight. Let's go, Marvin Vittori. First time I think I've had to bet him since Picasso. Moving on, we have Jennifer Maia versus Casey O'Neill. I really, really want to back Casey O'Neill here, but just based off the styles, I'm gonna have to go with Jennifer Maia. I do believe she's a much more well-rounded fighter. Um, but Casey O'Neill is definitely a problem. I do think she'll cause a lot of problems for Maia, but I think Maia should win this. Maia is just, in my opinion, a more well-rounded and she's more experienced as well. I do think Casey O'Neill's in for a rough night if she can't get her game plan off working, whatever her game plan is. Moving on, we have Gunnar Nelson versus Brian Barberena. Brian is a dog. You can never count him out, so I'm not gonna say Gunnar is gonna run right through him. Gunnar hasn't run through anybody in a long time. I think Gunnar is very dangerous. I think he's very good on the jiu-jitsu. I just don't think he will sub Brian. I think if he does, it'll be early. But I do think Brian Barberena is going to be able to make a fight out of it. But I do think Gunnar Nelson will win this fight by decision. I just think his grappling will be too much for Brian, and yeah, this is definitely gonna be a fight though, so don't put too much into Nelson. Moving on, I'm not probably gonna lean the over. Moving on, we have Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fizev. Probably the fight of the night. Everyone's looking forward to. Justin Gaethje is all action, extreme violence, does not stop. He has a bit of a cardio and jiu-jitsu problem, but other than that, he's dangerous as hell. I think Rafael Fizev also has that cardio problem. So whoever can outlast the other is going to be a question mark. I think Fizev's striking is much better than Gaethje. His jiu-jitsu maybe too, but Gaethje's wrestling is far better than Fizev's, and I do think it's going to be an interesting clash of styles. I'm really interested to see how Gaethje deals with the Thai style Fizev. Fizev is really, really good. He is really, really, really good, and I do think Fizev's going to win this fight by unanimous decision. Fight to go to decision is probably not looking too good, but I'm going to take those odds anyways. It's going to be a wild fight. I think if Chandler can take him to a decision, Fizev can. But yeah, this is going to be a fun fight. Gaethje's fighting a lot more reserved. Yeah, but let's go Fizev. I really think he has the potential to be a champion maybe one day, and he just needs to keep working on his wrestling, his grappling, and maybe one day he can be a champion. But I'm going to take him in this spot. I'm pretty confident. Moving on, we have Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards. I think Leon Edwards is an excellent fighter, and I do think he should be able to win this with all the confidence he has from knocking out Usman. And I'm actually starting to lean Edwards, and I might even end up taking him by the end of time fight day. But I have to take Kamaru. He was winning every single round before that, other than the first, and I just think he is improving. I know he's 35, and I know he's on the way out, but I just think Kamaru's going to be able to win this fight. Um, his wrestling is much better than Leon's. And I just think Leon tends to break. But the altitude isn't a factor, so like I said, I'm not confident with Usman, and I'm going to be probably making my decision by fight day. So don't quote me on the Usman pick. Yeah, let me quickly give you guys my top five predictions and let you guys out of here. My number one pick, Juliana Miller. Number two, we have Mokaev. Number three, Christian Leroy Duncan. Number four, Jake Hadley. Number five, Jack Shore. I'd say number four. Actually, I'd say Jack Shore is tied for number three. And uh, for number five, I'd say Gunnar Nelson number five. But yeah, those are my picks, guys. Like, subscribe, you know the drill. I'll see you next time. Can't wait to give you guys these picks. We haven't missed on a UFC card all year, so let's keep the train going. Till next time.